A major earthquake has struck near Anchorage, Alaska. The quake measuring 7.0 has caused extensive road damage.
A pair of back-to-back earthquakes, the first one measuring 7.0 right outside of Anchorage. People racing into the streets. There's already reports of significant damage inside buildings.
On March 27, 1964, Alaska was shaken by the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in North America. The ground beneath the state heaved and shuddered, causing massive tsunamis and landslides that reshaped the landscape. Entire towns were swallowed, and the echoes of that day are still felt in the chilling stories of survivors and the transformed terrain. Could the next big one strike closer to home than we think? Join us to discover how these seismic events continue to shape lives and lands. Light yet far-reaching. A strong earthquake with a magnitude of 5.6 shook the North Pacific Ocean, about 88 kilometers from the U.S. coast, early on Thursday morning, August 1, 2024. The quake happened at 1:03 a.m. local time, which is 9 hours behind GMT. It was relatively shallow, occurring just 10 kilometers below the ocean's surface. People close to the quake's center felt it, but it wasn't strong enough to cause major damage or widespread alarm. The earthquake was first recorded by the IRIS network and later confirmed by the U.S. Geological Survey. Throughout the morning, updates were made to the quake's data. Initially, it was thought to be deeper, but it was corrected to 10 kilometers. The epicenter's location was also slightly adjusted west-northwest, and the magnitude was updated from 5.4 to 5.6. Showing the quake's real strength. But this wasn't the most surprising part. The epicenter, near coordinates 54.1094 degrees north and 159.7025 degrees west off Alaska's coast, felt strong shaking, but it was localized. Only 1,877 people across the U.S. felt it, and most people barely noticed it. The USGS assessed that there is a very low risk of significant harm from this earthquake. The shaking was classified as light and occurred far from populated areas, reducing its impact. The risk of fatalities is minimal, with low chances of death due to the quake. Economically, the damage is expected to be minimal, with no substantial financial losses anticipated. Even in a worst-case scenario, the cost wouldn't exceed $10 million. But here's something interesting. Only one person in Rosedale, California, reported feeling the quake. This shows how even minor quakes can be felt far away without causing significant damage. Larger earthquakes often lead to smaller tremors or aftershocks, which can occur for days, weeks, or even years after the main event as the Earth adjusts. This quake's fault likely saw a rupture across an area of about 40 square kilometers, with the rupture length around 11 kilometers. Giving an idea of the earthquake's underground impact. Alaska is famous for its wild natural beauty, but living here comes with big challenges. Known as the last frontier, life in Alaska is full of extremes. Natural disasters are common, like the biggest earthquake ever recorded in the Northern Hemisphere. Imagine the sound of a roaring freight train coming straight at you. Think of a volcanic eruption so huge it towered over cities and mountains. Everything here is on a massive scale. One man, seeing the largest tsunami ever, told his son to pray, and he did. These powerful forces shaped the land, making Alaska one of the toughest places to live on Earth. But that's not the worst part. Alaska is a disaster-prone area. Beneath its rough terrain, destructive forces are waiting. One of these can change mountain ranges and destroy entire towns in seconds. People in California think they live in the earthquake capital, but Alaska is the true center of seismic activity. Lori Gillum knows this well. She lived through the largest quake in American history. It sounded like a freight train, a noise she'll never forget. Anchorage, Lori's hometown, is dangerously close to a deadly subduction zone. Here, two continental plates collide, causing frequent and huge earthquakes. Alaska has about 100 earthquakes a day, more than all the other states put together. But that's not the whole story. On March 27, 1964, Lori and her sister Debbie were at the 4th Avenue Theater in Anchorage, a city of 100,000 people then. Their mom had left them to watch a movie. Deep under the ocean, the Earth's crust cracked with the force of tens of thousands of atomic bombs. This was the epicenter of a massive quake under Prince William Sound. As the movie started, so did one of history's biggest earthquakes. Lori's sister ran, popcorn flying, and Lori followed. They escaped to the street, holding on to a parking meter as the ground shook. After several frightening minutes, the shaking stopped. They were just a block and a half from where the Earth had split, creating a 20-foot drop. Photos show dramatic cliff collapses and buildings sliding into the abyss. But it gets worse. 2 blocks away, the J.C. Penney store partly collapsed, and they feared for their mom who might have been shopping there. They were relieved to reunite with her amid the chaos. The earthquake was a 9.2 on the Richter scale, the second largest ever recorded. It changed the landscape, lifting sections of the seabed and altering coastlines so much that maps had to be redrawn. Tsunamis caused damage as far away as Hawaii and California, showing how far-reaching the impact was. Since that historic quake, Alaska has had many significant tremors, reminding everyone of the constant danger. With its population now tripled, the risks are greater than ever. In a place where the Earth can tear and roar, Alaskans know the next big quake could hit at any time. In the chilly waters of Kalatuya Bay, locals share stories about a huge beast under the surface, waking up only when humans come too close. Howard, unaware, is about to meet this legendary creature. The bay is eerily quiet, with only the hum of a boat's engine breaking the silence as icebergs float by. The air is crisp and cold, biting at any exposed skin, and the water looks dark and mysterious, hiding secrets beneath its surface. That night, Howard falls asleep on the anchored boat, but his father's urgent voice wakes him. A massive earthquake had just hit, with its center deep in the mountains at the bay's end. Howard, still groggy, feels the boat trembling beneath him, the water rippling in response to the seismic activity. As they watch, a huge crack in the earth sends rocks and ice crashing into the water, causing a giant splash. A scientist from the University of California showed in a simulation how this splash towered over nearby trees, reaching higher than any skyscraper, even the New World Trade Center. The sight is both terrifying and awe-inspiring, nature's raw power on full display. But this wasn't the worst part. The splash created a giant wave, a mega tsunami, racing towards Howard and his father. The dark, rolling wave, full of debris, moved towards them quickly. The water seemed to boil with the force of the upheaval, carrying chunks of ice and rock like lethal projectiles. Living on the edge. "This is no ordinary wave," Howard's father says, handing him a life preserver and urging him to pray. The wave lifted their boat like an elevator, carrying them over the treetops and back down. They survived, but others weren't so lucky. 2 boats were destroyed, their remains lost to the sea, and some people were never found. The water, once calm and still, was now a churning, chaotic force of destruction. The massive wave stripped the coastline, showing bare rock where forests once stood. Trees were uprooted, their roots exposed to the elements, and the landscape was forever altered. Scientists later confirmed that Lituya Bay has a history of these events, with mega tsunamis happening every 30 years or so. The last one was recorded 56 years ago, meaning another could happen any time, bringing potential disaster. The bay, once serene and beautiful, now seemed like a ticking time bomb. But this wasn't the only danger. Alaska, a land that seems peaceful, hides many threats. What looks like a simple meadow might be a feeding ground for grizzly bears, and rivers are full of migrating salmon. The postcard perfect mountains hide their own dangers. Beneath their snow-capped peaks, volcanic activity simmers, waiting to explode. Alaska has 52 active volcanoes, more than any other state, and sits on the Ring of Fire, where tectonic plates collide, causing lots of volcanic activity. From big eruptions to smaller ones, the state is full of geologic events. The ground is never truly still, always shifting and changing, a reminder of the powerful forces at work below the surface. Among these, Mount Cleveland and Mount Augustine stand out. Both are known for their frequent eruptions and the stunning displays of lava and ash they produce. But more dangerous is Mount Redoubt, near Anchorage, known for its violent eruptions and a large crater at its summit. The mountain looms ominously, a constant threat to the nearby communities. The Alaska Volcano Observatory is busy monitoring these volcanoes. Scientists keep an eye on seismic activity, eruptions, and ash clouds that could threaten air travel. Their work is vital, providing early warnings and helping to mitigate the dangers posed by these powerful natural events. But this wasn't the only threat from above. In 1989, Mount Redoubt erupted, sending an ash cloud into the path of a descending Boeing 747. The plane lost all engine power, turning into a giant glider filled with ash. After tense moments, the pilots managed to restart some engines and made a safe landing, showing the dangers of flying over this rugged state. The incident highlighted the need for constant vigilance and preparedness in the face of Alaska's volatile nature. Alaska's beauty is undeniable, but so are its dangers. The serene landscapes, from lush meadows to majestic mountains, hide a world of peril. The ground can shift and break apart, sending waves of destruction across the land. The air, clear and crisp, can suddenly fill with ash and debris, and the water, calm and reflective, can rise up and consume everything in its path. For those who live here, these dangers are part of life. They know the risks and respect the power of nature. They understand that this land, with all its beauty and danger, is a place of constant change and renewal. And despite the threats, they stay, drawn by the unique and wild spirit of Alaska. Volcanoes can disrupt air travel unexpectedly, just like what happened in Iceland back in 2010. A volcanic ash cloud from the Eyjafjallajökull eruption grounded over 100,000 flights, causing widespread chaos. Similarly, Alaska faces a significant risk of a massive volcanic eruption that could not only stop air travel, but also impact global weather patterns. Experts believe that with Alaska's frequent geological activity, a major eruption is likely to happen soon, reminiscent of the one in 1912 at Katmai. Given the number of active volcanoes in the region, another large eruption seems almost certain. In the beautiful yet dangerous terrains of Alaska, glaciers are dramatically reshaping the landscape. These enormous ice formations, some as wide as several miles and as tall as skyscrapers, carve through the land with incredible force. Alaska is home to around 20,000 glaciers, each actively transforming the earth beneath them. These glaciers have largely sculpted Alaska's current landscape. To understand this transformation, glaciologist Mike Heckers and mountain guide Don Riley explore the Mendenhall Glacier, venturing into a risky ice cave. But this wasn't the worst part. Glaciers are not only massive, but also dangerous. They start from heavy snowfall that compresses into ice over centuries, flowing downhill like slow-moving rivers. These ice rivers drag rocks from the mountainsides, grinding down the rock below and creating classic U-shaped valleys. This continuous grinding by glaciers, combined with tectonic activity that lifts the land, results in Alaska's rugged, steep terrain. This ever-changing environment is a key area for scientific study. The journey through these glaciers is filled with dangers like crevasses, deep cracks in the ice that can be over 100 feet deep. These cracks form as the glacier moves and bends, showing the stark contrast between the weathered white or gray surface ice and the deep blue of fresh ice. Walking on these glaciers requires constant attention due to the hidden dangers of underlying crevasses. As glaciers merge and flow, they carry debris which forms moraines. These moraines are visible evidence of the glacier's path, marking where multiple ice flows have joined. Understanding these features helps scientists like Heckers and Riley trace the glacier's history and movement. But the challenges don't end there. Glaciers also have complex water systems that drain meltwater, sometimes creating vertical tunnels in the ice, known as moulins, which can reach the glacier's base. These tunnels are crucial for scientists trying to understand how glaciers melt and move. Alaska's glacial power. To fully grasp glaciers' destructive and creative power, one must explore their oldest sections. On one expedition, Heckers and Riley discover a fragile ice cave, a formation prone to sudden collapse, which poses significant risks. Despite the dangers, these explorations are crucial for understanding how glaciers have shaped and continue to shape Alaska's formidable landscape. But the story of Alaska's glaciers isn't just about ice and rock. It's also about how this dynamic environment affects the people and wildlife living there. The ever-changing landscape can impact local communities, disrupting their way of life. For example, melting glaciers contribute to rising sea levels, which can threaten coastal villages. The changing environment also affects wildlife, altering habitats and food sources. Scientists are studying these impacts to better understand how to mitigate the effects of a changing climate. In addition to their environmental impact, glaciers hold a wealth of information about Earth's climate history. Ice cores drilled from glaciers contain layers of ice that have trapped air bubbles over thousands of years. These bubbles provide a record of past atmospheric conditions, helping scientists understand how climate has changed over time. But this wasn't the only revelation. These ice cores can also reveal information about volcanic eruptions as ash layers get trapped in the ice, providing a timeline of past eruptions. The exploration of Alaska's glaciers is not only a scientific endeavor, but also an adventure. The rugged beauty of the landscape, combined with the thrill of discovery, attracts adventurers and researchers alike. But with the excitement comes significant risk. The unstable environment means that explorers must always be on their guard, prepared for the unexpected. In one of their most daring expeditions, Heckers and Riley encounter an ice cave that, while breathtakingly beautiful, is on the verge of collapse. This discovery underscores the constant danger that comes with exploring glaciers. But despite the risks, these expeditions are essential. They help us understand not only the past and present of our planet, but also its future. As we continue to study these icy giants, we gain invaluable insights into the processes that have shaped our world. But the journey is far from over. Each expedition brings new discoveries and new challenges, reminding us of the power and beauty of nature and the ever-present need for vigilance and respect in the face of such formidable forces. If the glacier moves, it might trigger a massive collapse. It's amazing to see these natural formations with bubbles and cracks around a large rock above. This spot on the Mendenhall Glacier is really special. Inside the ice cave, the vibrant colors and shapes on the walls are absolutely breathtaking. The ice walls seem to come alive with shades of blue and white, creating a mesmerizing view. The ice here shows why glaciers have such a big impact on the landscape. Its clarity means it's very dense, about 3 times heavier than the snow it started from, making the glacier nearly 1 billion tons. This area is especially impressive. The surface is smooth like a beautifully carved piece of glass, naturally shaped and perfectly curved over the rocks. The beauty of this natural sculpture is striking and almost surreal, but that's not the most surprising part. These ice caves aren't permanent. Some may collapse within days, while others last for years. There are many such caves in Alaska, though most are either too far or too dangerous to explore. They are dynamic, magnificent natural structures, carved by water and wind. This particular cave has been shaped by the creek's warm water and the wind, which melt and sculpt the walls. Every visit to these caves offers a different view, a testament to the ever-changing nature of glaciers. The cave's size is larger than usual because it pulls in air from 2 different openings. Up there, you might even see a hint of blue sky through an opening formed by water boring down from the top of the glacier, now widened by warm air currents. The light filtering through these openings adds an ethereal quality to the cave's interior, making it look like a scene from a fantasy world. Warm air also enters from the nearby forest, enhancing the cave's ventilation. This continuous flow of warm air results in some of the most captivating features of the cave. You can observe the ice walls sculpted into unique forms by uneven melting, caused by air currents and trickling water, which intensifies the melting where the water flows. The intricate patterns formed by these processes are nothing short of nature's artwork. But that's not the whole story. You can see water streaming down the edges, actively shaping the cave's appearance. Glacial ice typically absorbs all colors except blue, which it reflects, giving it a striking blue appearance. However, nothing in this dynamic zone stays the same for long. More ice near the entrance will likely collapse this summer, and in the years to follow, with the cave possibly disappearing within a few years. Each summer brings noticeable changes, a reminder of the glacier's relentless movement. Beneath an ancient glacier in Alaska, a remote ice cave is being explored not by humans, but by a drone. This technology allows access to dangerously tight spaces within crevasses and glaciers, capturing views never seen before. Flying a drone into an ice cave poses significant challenges due to wind, rain, and the risk of collision. The drone's camera offers a perspective that would be impossible to achieve otherwise, revealing hidden corners and intricate details. But that's not even the toughest part. Navigating through these ice caves is particularly tricky. Once the drone flies out of sight, operators rely solely on the video feed to navigate. Losing the signal could spell disaster for the drone, worth thousands of dollars. Despite these challenges, they've managed to capture breathtaking images of a subglacial tunnel adorned with deep blues, providing unique insights into this hidden world. These images not only showcase the beauty of the ice, but also help scientists understand the glacier's structure and behavior. Living in Alaska means accepting the raw power of nature, from the threat of volcanic eruptions to the risk of landslides. Yet, it's these very forces that shape Alaska's stunning landscapes, drawing people back to explore its untamed beauty despite the dangers. What risks are we willing to take for the thrill of discovery and the advancement of science? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.